Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the night sessions. I am going to try and get Cooper in. We've had a few technical difficulties tonight, but we are live and we are here on the night sessions. And Cooper's just popped back out again, so we'll just wait for him. So, welcome. I have got a video to play in a second. There's comments coming in already. Let me just have a quick look. I sound like a robot. Right, let me just check my settings so we're all right. That should sound better. Let me know in the comments if it does. I can see you backstage, but I can't hear you. But give me a thumbs up if I sound okay. Right, Cooper can't get on, so that's fine. Okay, so we are live tonight on the KOV Live Facebook page, if you want to watch it on there, or on the YouTube, guys. So make sure you check that out, okay? So I'm just going to play this. Cooper's in the comments. So I'm going to play this video. It needs no introduction apart from this video. So have a look at this and enjoy. Invite all your friends, get them all in. Let's have a few people commenting, watching, sharing tonight. And here we go. I'll have to say it myself. Ran BT.
Have you heard of Cambusnethan? You've heard of these two boys. They started painting houses, their occupational choice. One could play the squeeze box, the other he could sing. Before they let their brushes dry, the stage was beckoning. Soon the stars were rising, driving women wild, especially when the begging said, I'm nobody's child. They always kept their heads on, way all that dizzy fame. The Alexander Brothers, that legendary name. Two kilts and time, Scottish rhyme, a Hieland bond at the back. They're the kings of the tartans, my pals Tom and Jack. With dazzling smiles, tangle o' the aisles, talent they don't lack. My friend, you haven't seen nothing if you haven't seen Tom and Jack. Of all the Scottish singers, Andy Stewart was bolder. He used to wear his shooter suit, singing the Scottish soldier. Remember Harry Lauder, way that Glasgow song. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew where he came from. Robert Wilson's tenor voice, you could always tell. Jimmy Shan's accordion, swinging the old bluebell. Well, they were all pure magic, but only half the fun. With the Alexander Brothers, you get two for the price of one. Two kilts and time, Scottish rhyme, a Hieland bond at the back. They're the kings of the tartans, my pals Tom and Jack. With dazzling smiles, tangle of the aisles, talent they don't lack. My friend, you haven't seen nothing if you haven't seen Tom and Jack. Two kilts and time, Scottish rhyme, a Hieland bond at the back. They're the kings of the tartans, my pals Tom and Jack. With dazzling smiles, tangle o' the aisles, talent they don't lack. My friend, you haven't seen nothing if you haven't seen Tom and Jack. My friend, you haven't seen nothing if you haven't seen Tom and Jack.
So there we go, guys. No introduction required. We have the one, the only, the legend, Mr. Carl Wilson, Ian Wilson, Tug Wilson, whatever you name him. You call him anything you like. But he's here, and I'm going to get him in. If we can get Cooper back in, great. If not, it is absolutely fine. But let's test and see if this works. Good evening.
I was sleeping there.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yep.
So how you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm not bad, not bad. I'm just making sure everything works. You can hear me okay. I can hear you okay. You look rather tidy tonight. Have you had a wash?
I have, and a shave especially just for you.
See that? I see. Incredible. Now, what people that are, there's a few people in already. If you don't know already, this is my dad. I didn't really want to tell you that, but you know, just so you know. You've seen some of the stuff on the video package. We'll get right into it in a minute. But I'm just going to check everything's working completely fine. All the comments are coming in. If you're watching on here, please head over to YouTube if you can. Yeah, 100%. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, guys. It's free, and you can probably get it proper. Kelly's put a message on saying, "Where's my jumper, Dad?"
In the drawer.
So, as we've seen on the comments, over 50 years of show business, TV, movies. We'll get into all that shortly. Start as we always start. Where and when was I can't tell them that you were born on the 13th of May, 1950.
On a Saturday. On a Saturday.
Which makes you 75 this year?
No. I'll be 74 this year.
74 this year.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, no swearing on this programme, but Kelly said, fucking rude, last time I buy you anything. Just so you know. Cooper says, I never knew about the TV. There's a lot to be talked about. Tell us, who is Ian Carlton Wilson? Where was you born? What was life like when you were a kid? Start us off from the beginning.
Well, I was very, very small for a starter, right? I was born in May of 1950 in Thorny Flat Road in Ayr.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I had a good time, you know, but I don't know half it. I can't remember it now. I'm too old.
Poor family.
But, sorry?
A poor family?
No, really. No, at that time, 1950. My dad was a caretaker in the community centre in Thorny Flat Road in Ayr. And I can actually remember going out every Saturday morning to the picture show in the community centre. And it was always Hopalong Cassidy, cowboy films. I can't remember whether my mother worked or not. And obviously my sister, she's 5 years older. So it was me and my sister. I think I had a good time as a kid.
Evening, everyone. Evening, Mr. Wilson Senior. That is our reigning weekend game show champion.
Okay.
So he has changed his name. We do call him a bell end, but he says his name is Bellend is Champ.
All right. Nice to meet. Pleasure. Thank you.
So give it a share, guys. Let's get some people in. So from there, how did things go from there? I mean, I know, but I'm asking you as somebody that doesn't know.
Well, I was in Ayr up until about I would have been about 6 or 7, and the community centre was being closed down. So obviously my dad had to look for another job. Worked with the council. You get a job with the council in Ayr itself, and we moved to Wellington Street in Ayr. And we were there right up until I went to the school there, Russell Street School. And we were there until I was there until 1965.
Mm-hmm.
I was in that particular school up in 1965. But when I was 11 years of age, my dad was killed in an accident on the beach. Mm-hmm. So it was just my mum and I and my sister. She left home, I think she would have been, 12, 13. She would have been at 18, 19. She left home, went away with her boyfriend, moved into a house away up in Stevenson. So I was left with my mum then.
And how was
that? To be honest, there was no money. We didn't have any money. We were actually quite poor, to be honest, at that stage. Obviously, after my dad went. Mm-hmm. But my mother and I, in fact, we got evicted from Wellington Street, the house we were in Wellington Street, and we got accommodation somewhere, probably for a couple of months, and it went on like that for several places. I think we had about 4 or 5 different moves to places. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty difficult, you know. So I've now got to a stage where I've left the school, I've got a job. I worked in a lemonade factory. That was fun. I think we drank more lemonade than anything else. But my mother passed away when I was 16. Mm-hmm. So from there, I had to decide what I was going to do. I got a job as a commie chef in a hotel in Largs. Mm-hmm. And then my sister's husband, John, suggested that I join the Navy. So I went to try and join the Merchant Navy. And I think they said I was too young.
They didn't take gingers?
No. There's another word for that. Somebody called me the other night. I can't remember.
A ginger.
A ginger. That was the word I got. Aye. But anyway, he suggested joining the army. So I went over to Kilmarnock and I joined the army. And my first port of call there was they sent me to Aldershot on a parachute course to the parachute regiment. Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't really struck on heights, so I lasted a fortnight, I think, and got sent home. And then they suggested, where do you go? So I thought, well, Scotland. The regiments came up and he suggested the Black Watch. And I thought, right, I'll join the Black Watch. So I joined the army. And obviously that was me now in the army. So it was good. I enjoyed the army. A great bunch of guys, and I still see them yet at the reunion. They have a reunion in Perth every year. Mm-hmm. So I've only been to it once, funnily enough, because all the other years previous I was working, so I could never get to it. But I went last year, and it was good. Needless to say, all the guys that I knew, I didn't even recognise one of them because we're all the same age and we've all changed. So it was quite funny.
I'd imagine they probably recognised you, though.
They recognised me straight away with the dark glasses and the red hair. I think I was the only guy in the Black Watch that was allowed to wear dark glasses. So it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
So while you were in the army, obviously, from what I know, you self-learned the guitar in the army. Is that right?
Yes. We got stationed in Gibraltar for a year. And while the guys were sitting at night, shining their shoes and pressing their shirts for the following mornings, the rest of us went to the pub, got pissed. And one guy played the guitar. And we all sang a song with the guy. And I thought, God, I wouldn't mind learning that. So I used to borrow his guitar and sit in the room and plonk it. I still don't know how to play it, but there you go. There you go.
So you had a good plonk in the room then?
I had a good plonk in the room. It was quite enjoyable, actually. As long as nobody else was there, you know.
Right. Well, there's nothing wrong with a good strum in the bedroom, like.
Oh, well, that's right. That's right.
Especially when you were in the army.
It was good, actually.
So the music side of things, was that something that you always wanted to do, or was that something that just happened, or did you leave the army to do that? Did you do your time and then decide to do that? What was the situation there?
I always entered wee competitions at the school when I was at the school, when I was young. And I won a certificate for singing Burns songs at the school. It's the only certificate I ever got because I was useless at everything else. But I managed to get a certificate at school. It was something that I fancied, I suppose, you know, but I never ever thought I'd do it. I used to go to, my mother used to take me to the Gaiety Theatre in Ayr. And it's the first time I had ever been to a show, and I think it was Robert Wilson. And Sidney Devine was there, but he was only a wee boy at the time. And obviously Alexander Brothers, they were always at the show as well. So that's where I kind of met up with a few of them originally. So, and that's how, I suppose that's how I kind of started. I thought I fancy doing this, but to be honest, I never thought I would do it for a living or meet the people that I met, you know. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
So, from doing that, did you become what you would call a professional entertainer from then, or were you just in gigs? Were you just how did it progress from there?
When I actually came out the army, I decided to move up to Inverness, and I was working with the council in Inverness, and I didn't like that. I got a job for about 6 months with Securicor, and I worked with Securicor. But I was going out at the weekends playing with another guy, Neil. You remember Neil Gribben? I used to go out with Neil, so we went out as a duo to the local pubs in Inverness. Eventually, after maybe about a year, I kind of thought, I'm getting more money at the weekend than I'm getting all week working. So I thought I might as well just work at the weekend. And then I suppose it just branched out for there, and I thought, I'll just do this. And that's how it's been for the last 50 years, more or less. It's been great fun.
And when you were still at that position, we'll get on to the other people on that.
Yeah.
When you got to that position after a couple of years, you were doing it with Neil. Did you meet anyone special around that time, and it kind of pushed you on to doing the singing? Did you get some advice from anyone? Or?
No, I'll tell you what happened. Obviously, I was quite a friend of Sydney's band, Legend, because I had met them at some of the shows that I had went to and spoke to them, and they asked me where I stayed, and I said, I live in Inverness. And the boys said, well, we're up in Inverness a lot, and we're always looking for accommodation. I said, well, just come and stay with us. So every time they were in Inverness or anywhere up in this area, they came and stayed with us. So I did a wee recording of about 4 tracks, just for a bit of fun. And Doogie Stevenson, who is the video director for Scott Disc, he was one of the band legend. And Doogie says, "Have you got any recordings of anything?" And I says, I've got 4 tracks here on a wee cassette. He says, "Give me a hold of it, give me it, and I'll take it away." And about a fortnight or 3 weeks after it, Doogie phoned me up. He said, "Bill Garden at Scott Disc wants you to record an album." So I thought, oh, bloody, I couldn't believe it. So that was the first contract I got, was with Doogie and Bill Garden. And when I went down to the studio to record, your mum at that time was pregnant with you.
Mm-hmm.
So your mum and I went down to the studio. We spent a week in the studio.
I bet you did.
And the first day in the studio, Sidney Devine came in and said, I'm going to produce your album. And I thought, oh, bloody hell, this is actually quite good. I never expected that for 1 minute. So Sidney came in. I don't know what that is on the screen. It's away. Aye. So Sidney came into the studio and says, "I'm going to produce your album." And I thought, oh, this is good. So we spent a week with Sidney and the boys in the studio recording. And I would sing a bit of the song, Sidney would sing a bit of the song. And then I think it was the Daily Record. There was a guy in the Daily Record who used to write for the celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big front page spread with a picture of me on it, saying, "This is Tug Wilson. Tug Wilson has just recorded a new album with Sidney Devine. The only difference is Tug sings in tune." So Sidney wasn't very happy about that, right enough. But he did say, "Any publicity is good publicity, so don't worry about it, But so that's really how I kind of got off in the recording thing. And it was good. It was good fun.
Gary Cooper has said, "Was nerves or stage fright ever an issue?"
Oh, yeah. Always, I never got overconfident about what I'd done. I would say probably the first 5 minutes you're very nervous because you're trying to suss out the crowds to see what they're like. Mm-hmm. Once you get a song over or 2 songs over, then you can relax and just go for it, Mm-hmm. And whether they stay in or go out, it doesn't matter, No, you do have nerves. If you don't have nerves, there's something wrong with you. And everybody does, as I'll explain after when I mention the other guys.
Yeah.
Everybody's got nerves in the entertainment business, I can assure you.
Shelley Boone, how you doing? Just some names coming in. I'm just always say hi to everyone that comes in. Kelly said, "Can you tell us a story of the night you were made?" I've never heard that story.
The night what?
No, the night I was made.
No, I can't discuss that.
No,
that's another story. That is another story, isn't it?
And I know that full story.
No, I'll tell you a wee bit about that actually. Can I cut it shorter? I went to do a booking.
I heard it was short anyway.
Just wait a minute. I went to do a booking in Peterhead for the oil guys. And on the road back through Banff, the tyre in the car burst and I didn't have a spare. So I had to look for a hotel for the night. So I booked into the hotel, and I think maybe just a few weeks after that, I found out your mum was pregnant. So that's the way it happens,
But what he hasn't told you, what I do know is, when he booked this room, there was only a single bed available.
Well, it was a last minute thing,
So there was no planning to that at all. There was no planning that he didn't have a spare tyre. There was no planning that he was going to get a puncture, and there was no planning that it would only be a single bed in that room.
Yeah.
So let's just put that there. Evening, Shelley. Cooper says, "Did you prefer live gigs or recording studio?"
Oh, I like live. I think the best time is to play in front of a live audience because you then get it's nice to get the applause at the end of a song. You know, if you don't get an applause, you think, well, it's going to be a bad night. But I always had reasonable nights. But to be honest, even in the recording studios, because I did several different studios, and I kind of went for a 4-track studio to a 12-track studio to a bloody 50-track studio in Ireland, you know. So it built up all the time. I did enjoy recording, though. That was good fun.
So I'm trying to go through the timeline in order, and it'll probably be a bit mixed up. But
aye.
So music started coming out, albums started coming out, gigs. At that time, you would have been selling records or cassettes at the gigs and stuff like that. They were selling all over the place, selling very well in Ireland and all over the place. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments as I'm going because they're on my phone. So going back to about audience and stuff, because Cooper's just said audience interaction was amazing. My own personal experience of going to dad's gigs when I was a little boy, and I did my whole life. It was always a good laugh in that, you know.
It was really funny,
some of the jokes were right. He used to do a bit of magic and all that, and this and that. He tried a bit of everything. And at the time, he used to wear the kilt every night and do all that stuff and everything. And then came along. I don't know at what point, and you can tell us that in a minute, where the TV stuff started. But quite early on, if I'm correct in the time scale, I know that you done STV Telethon, which was like Children in Need kind of thing now, but it was Telethon. It was the same thing where you phoned in and made donations, but also the people went out and made donations at the gigs, all that stuff with buckets and all that stuff and everything. So he done that as well and made a lot of money for charities and stuff like that or whatever for the TV, and there was some live stuff on TV with that. But where did the TV start, and how did that come about, and with the music side of things?
There used to be a programme on Grampian television called North Tonight. It was a guy called Alan Cowie that did it. Mm-hmm. And if at that time I started I was working with Stuart Anderson, and Stuart was doing Welcome to the Cayley on Grampian television, and I had just done Thingamajig.
Just before you go on to that, just so if people don't know, Stuart Anderson is one of the best accordion players in the country, without fail, if not wider. He's been all over the world, done it. His son, young Stuart, was on a TV program called Young Entertainer. Was it Young Entertainer of the Year?
And he did the Royal Variety.
And he won the show. He got on the Royal Variety Show, done all that, and done various different things after that. Became a guitarist, all that stuff. But his dad, Stuart, then became, or before that, became very good friends with Dad, and things happened we used to. So carry on from.
So if we were going through to maybe playing Aberdeen or somewhere in the Highlands, Grampian would go on to us and say they were always interested in getting entertainers in, advertising where they were playing that night. So they would give us a phone and say, can you meet us at the Arts Centre or somewhere in Aberdeen, or come into the studio? And we'd go in and sing a song. They would show it at the 6 o'clock after the news at 6 on North Tonight. And then we would go to the gig. So it was quite good. People had seen us on the telly before we actually got there.
Right.
So that's how the kind of TV thing started. And then the telethon came after that. I got asked to do that.
Mhm.
So that was great, you know.
So by that point, you were already established, if you like, on
Well,
TV at that
I
time.
getting there, weren't really established, but people started to know us because we were doing a wee bit of television.
Mm.
And me and Stuart travelling all over the place. Everybody knew Stuart, which was good.
Mhm.
And then they got to know me as well, you know. So I was,
And
it
that's, at that point, you would have been under the name of Tug Wilson, as a lot of
Tug
people
on
know
it.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was it around that time, again, I don't know if my timeline's right, that the radio thing started? Or was that later?
No, that was much later. That was much
Right.
later. With
So
that.
we'll get on to that when just fit me in when it's right in the timeline. So from there, gigs regular.
Yeah. Aye, and it got busier and busier. I mean, we weren't just working at weekends. Stuart and I was maybe doing a 30-night tour, and we'd go round all the wee village halls all around Scotland.
Mm.
You know, it was good fun. I always hired a van for the 2 years because we didn't have a car at that time. So I would hire a van, and we'd go away for about 30 nights. It was great, all over the place, Stornoway, up Wick, Thurso, down to Dundee. It was just good fun.
I'm sure Mum would have loved that.
I'm sure she probably, yeah, she probably did die. But no, it's been very good actually.
So from the gigs, going from then until retirement, from what I remember, as long as I remember.
Because you've jumped a few years there.
No, we're going to go back. But
oh yeah,
I was going to say it was a 7 nights a week thing, 11 months of the year. January you took some time off. The rest of the time you worked every night for I don't know how many years, but I know it was most of my life that you worked.
I think at least for over 20 years we were 7 nights a week, all over the place.
Which not many entertainers in any form, I don't think, can say that they had that amount of work. Some of them had tours and then they stopped and had a break for months or whatever. But you were continuous every night, traveling hundreds of miles every night and whatever. How far did the gigs and the music take you in terms of places in the country? I know, but just for the people.
Well, I mean, the Northern Highlands to Orkneys to Stornoway, south, Northern Ireland, you know, we were all over the place. I also worked with another accordion player called Gordon Young.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon and I did most of the tours in Northern Ireland, where Stuart and I did all the ones in Scotland. But it wasn't just the Scottish thing. The novelty was throwing some country music in as well as the Scottish songs, because I preferred country songs. But because of the tourist industry, I had to do the Scottish stuff. And that's the one that paid off for us, because I started doing the Scottish. So,
and at that time, I'm going to assume that that's when Tom and Jack Alexander Brothers were probably at the height of theirs, and that was very popular doing the Scottish thing. So that would have been, did that mix in with you becoming more friendly with them and all that stuff? And where did that come in? For people, there may be people here that don't know the Alexander Brothers. They passed now. Dad will tell you how close they were and stuff, but they both passed away now. But in their time, they outsold the Beatles to go to #1 in the charts with a song called Nobody's Child. They toured the world, absolutely incredible, everywhere they went. And as you heard in the song at the start, there were two painters from Wishaw who became very, very good. One on the accordion, the other one singing. And for all my life, I've known them like uncles. And a lot of stories just with them alone, without all the other people, is just an incredible journey. Sadly missed, but great people. But how did that all come about when you got close, when you got friendly? Like, what was the story then?
I was playing in a wee hotel during Granton Spey. I can't remember the name of the hotel, but I was playing there, and the manager had said to me, he says, the Alexander brothers are wanting to come up and do a wee show, because there was 2 or 3 American coaches in, and Tom and Jack was coming up to play, and he said to me, he says, I don't really like getting on the stage and getting them onto the stage, doing the compare of the show. He said, would you mind coming down and introduce them on the show? And I thought, well, I had never met them, but I had went to see them as a bloody kid. I had went to see them, So I went down to the hotel, and the manager says, Tom and Jack and their wives are in having their dinner. Just go in. So I walked in, and Jack stood up. He says, nice to meet you, Tug and Tom, and that. Grab a chair, sit down, have your dinner. I was only there 2 minutes. So they made me have dinner with them,
That's the kind of people they were.
They were brilliant. They were fantastic guys. So we had a meal, I introduced them on, and just blathering away. Tom says, you need to give me your number, And I said, well, you give me yours. Following day, Tom phoned me. I had just taken out a cassette at that time. And Tom phoned me up the next day, and he said, I just had a wee listen to your cassette, and there was a song on it called I Will Love You All My Life. It was a song that had been done by Foster and Allen. And Tom says, that is a brilliant version you done. He says, Jack wants to record the song. He says, any chance of coming up to your house? I said, you can come up to your house if you want. And I think the week after it, he came up. There was obviously another wee catch in it. I don't know how to work the computer, but I believe you do. He says, would you show me how to get emails? So he came up to the house, and he was up at the house for days, learning the computer, and your mum actually taught him how to get emails on the computer. And it really just stemmed from there. Then Jack said, we're having a party, will you and Lydia come down to the party? And that's how it all started with them. And then for the next, 45 years, we were the best of pals.
Yeah.
They were just, there was no airs and graces about Tom and Jack. They were fantastic guys. And if they had still been here the day, obviously there's people watching that probably know in the same kind of group that we're in, being Freemasons. But if Tom and Jack had been up here, I would have had them doing a lot of shows up here for us, and they would have done it. They were just normal guys. If you said every time I went down to Jack's house, it was right, we're going in a pub crawl. It was just fantastic. Yeah, it's a sad case when they're gone now.
Well, Jack passed away on the 2nd of November 2013. That was a real sad time. I remember it very, very well. And you visited him just before we lost him. We don't need to go too deep into it, but because there's some private times that happened there, but it was very, very sad, and he had people around him that mattered and stuff like that. Tom died on the 9th of January 2020. From that point, a lot of people started disappearing that were close to you as well. as in musicians, and comedians, stuff like that. Some of the people that you were friendly with, some people might not know who they are. I have explained it in some of the video packages that I've put out, but who was the kind of people that you were around before we get to the TV and movie stuff? But musician-wise, I remember being brought up with all the bands being around, with all other people being around and stuff like that. But what?
Well, look, when all these bands come over for the likes of Ireland, they all stayed with us.
Yep.
Daniel O'Donnell's sister Margot,
Mm-hmm.
Crawford Bell, who was an Irish entertainer, Crawford, they all used to come over. Joey Hamilton, High Chaparral, all these different bands, and
Footloose.
they stayed with us. Footloose, yeah, Footloose. Well, it was
Skin and Bone.
Yeah, Billy and Donny, Skin and Bone. Jolene with Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's, do you know, there was that many, but the main ones, know that they stood out for the rest, but they were doing the big theatre, big time.
Mm.
Was the likes of Lena Martell, Johnny Beattie, Sidney Devine,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I often sat and wondered how have they all became pals, you know. We just got on so well, and it was a great time.
There's a lot of stories in all of that where that I remember being around it my whole life because you're my dad. We went to Tenerife and we were sitting with Johnny Beattie. Now Johnny Beattie was a very famous Scottish comedian. He was also Malcolm in Take the High Road. If anyone watches Scottish
And
TV,
remember his daughter Maureen.
Yeah. Well, Take the High Road was like a kind of like an EastEnders, Emmerdale kind of thing, but it was Scottish, and it was very, very popular for many, many years. And he played Malcolm in that, and he was brilliant in it. His daughters have played numerous parts. One of them was in Casualty. They've played a lot of, I can't remember what that one was called, Maureen and
Louise.
They've played different parts and different things, but they were like judges and stuff in courtrooms and TV dramas and stuff like that, and they've been all over. And we sat with Maureen and
Johnny
in Tenerife and had a drink with them, and during various times in life, sadly, it's always when you go to funerals you bump into everyone and that. We've seen and sat and chatted with them and stuff like that. Andy Cameron's another one. He was a very famous, and still is, a very famous Scottish entertainer. I think he does podcasts and stuff. He's a comedian.
He was one of the first entertainers that I worked with, was Andy.
Yeah.
And it was the time when he did Top of the Pops with Alice Tartan Army.
Mm-hmm.
And Andy and I got a booking in the social club in Invergordon. And we drove up to Invergordon, set up, the place was absolutely packed. I went on, did my bit for about half an hour or something. Then Andy come on. And a fight broke out in the social club. And Andy come running up to the dressing room. He's batting the door. He's going, "Let me in, Tug, let me in." And I thought he was at it. I'm going, "Oh, get back to the stage." He says, "Let me in." You know, so open the door, let me in. He says, "Let's get in the car and get out here because there's a battle next door." So we did get in the car that night and drive home, go up the following day and pick up our gear. You know, what a night. But I never forgot that. Andy never forgot it either.
Mm.
But it was good.
When we went to Jack's funeral, we met Andy outside and we sat with him inside, and a lot of famous faces at that funeral. A lot of people not seen for a long time, but I'm just in the comments there, before you even mentioned her,
Yeah.
Cooper has said Lena Martell was huge back in the day. Now he's told me that his parents used to go and see her in shows and concerts or whatever
All right.
quite a lot. But somebody else that you knew.
Well, Lena had a massive hit called One Day at a Time.
Yep.
That was her big one. But, I mean, you can go onto the internet and bring up stuff on YouTube with Lena when she was young. She's playing an American. I mean, she was a fantastic singer. I met Lena at one of Jack's birthday parties down in Prestwick. And we were all dressed, fancy dressed. And Lena was dressed as Charlie Chaplin. And I was dressed as the Indian chief. And Lena says, well, we're going to have a dance. So Lena and I went to the dance floor. Aye, there's a picture. So Lena and I went to the dance floor. And she said to me, don't tell anybody. Nobody knows who I am, because she was dressed as Charlie Chaplin. So nobody recognised her. She says, if you go and start telling everybody, they'll want autographs. I can't be bothered. So we just had a dance then off the flare. She did me another favour, actually. She did me a favour in the respect of I was with a company, an Irish record company, and I had been with them for 20 years. And I had never received any royalties or anything. And Lena said to me, I had the same problem. I says, well, the company thinks that I was just part of the singers. They didn't put me as the main singer on the albums. And she says, get on to them and tell them to listen to the albums. And it must have been maybe about 6 weeks later, I got a phone call from one of the guys that had changed hands to a different ownership. And the owners of the studio was from the Dubliners. And I got a phone call, and the guy that was on the phone, he says, I'm coming over to Inverness. I'll fly over to Inverness. Can I meet you? So he met up with us in the Station Hotel in Inverness, and we had a discussion about it. Needless to say, I got a nice check. And a couple of weeks later, I got 2 silver discs for sales of the records. So I was over the moon. I was over the moon.
Which is 120,000 albums sold. And that's just through the record company, not through yourself at the gigs selling.
That's right.
Which I would estimate it's more than double that because of the amount that you used to sell at the gigs.
We used to sell 13.40 a night. But you're talking quite early days. You were only paying maybe £3 for an LP. You know, it was dead cheap to buy the LPs. But cassettes, you could stick in a handbag or in your pocket. You know, it was great. It was really good.
CDs were good for taking the ice off your car.
Yeah. Actually, CDs killed it a bit. Because when the CDs, when they came out, I couldn't buy the CD. It wasn't worthwhile buying CDs from the record company, because you could go into the likes of these supermarkets and buy maybe 3 for a tenner, and we were trying to sell CDs for £10 or £12. You know, so it's just different.
I'm just looking at the comment. Kelly says, "What's an LP?" I'm joking, by the way. Some people wouldn't know what vinyl is, but I missed Cooper's comment. He said when you said about that song, where Lena Martell, he says it was a global hit. Which it's a song that I think even now everybody knows when it comes on. They could sing along with it. It's one of them.
Lena's actually still going. She's still going. She did a wee programme. There's a young lassie that I met when I was doing one of the television shows. She's got a country programme every week on the telly, and it's still going. And Lena was on about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't think she's doing the club circuits now. I think she's finished, but she was on the television doing a wee interview for the TV just a few weeks ago. So it was nice to see her. But hey, we've all aged a bit, so But it was nice to see her there.
So just checking the comments because it keeps disappearing on me. Okay. Where was that? I was taking the piss. So,
do you know something? This is more nerve-wracking sitting doing this than it was actually going on the stage and performing. It's quite nerve-wracking, this.
You've never actually sat down and discussed the kind of life story of what you do. You've done interviews, we'll get on the radio in a minute, but you've done all that stuff, but never a proper sit-down interview.
That's right.
So a lot of people are unaware of what extent it went to, and you know, and again, we'll get to that in a second. I'm a bit confused as to when the America thing was, or the TV and movies, which was first. I'm unsure where that is.
The only film that I was part of was Rob Roy.
Yep.
That was the only film I was part of, but I did a lot of different television things with Rab C, Michael Winner's True Crimes, Crime Limited.
Yep. Dutch TV.
I did the Dutch television thing as well. There's quite a lot of... Actually, to be honest about it, I've kind of forgotten some of the stuff I've done. Because I did quite a lot. Taggart. I did 5 Taggarts. I did 5 different appearances in Taggart.
In fact, for history purposes, if anyone remembers, when Taggart, Mark McManus, I think was his name, when he died, and they done where he died in the show, Dad was on that episode at the funeral.
That's right.
With
Barbara Dixon.
And again, in the video packages, you can see there's lots of pictures of all these things in that. But Rabsy Nesbitt was a good one. I like that one.
I was only on that for seconds, but you know, it was just him and Gregor Fisher and Jamesy. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either, but Jamesy.
But it was just a 3 years old day. And another wee story about that, right? Quite a quick one. We're all sitting at our dinner on this bus, because they had a big bus for our dinner. So the 3 years are sitting at the table. And if you remember rightly, you gave me an autograph book.
Aye, a Celtic
and
one.
It was a Celtic one.
Aye,
and you asked me to get their autographs.
Yep.
So when I took it out of my pocket and passed it over to Rab C, he went, "I'm no effing signing that green book." They're bloody Rangers supporters, isn't it? So it was quite comical, actually. And then they took it and signed it for you, you know. I thought, oh, bloody hell.
That book was... do you know, I don't even know where that book would be, but that book's got a lot of signatures in it from a lot of people.
That book is in one of these boxes.
So, what about the movie thing, Rob Roy? What was that like compared to doing TV and stuff like that? How good was that? That must have been a massive deal. It's one of a lot of the stuff I came along with you. A lot of them I didn't, but the movie thing, how was that for you?
Yeah, well, the bit of filming that we done was done in Perth, and it was a riding stables, but they turned it into the inside of a castle, and there was a lot of sword fencing in it, you know. I spent a week on that, and every day, obviously, we stopped for coffee breaks. We stopped for coffee breaks, and every time we stopped for a coffee break, John Hurt, he always seen me with the fags, having a fag, you know. And John Hurt would come in and go, "Can I get one of your fags?" So every day he was cadging fags off of me. And I'm sitting thinking to myself, he's a multi-millionaire and he's taking fags off of me, you know. But No, that was really great fun. That I spent a whole week on that. But
And I
had to
remember
be
the
in.
story as well. That on that, or when you were doing the movie, you messed it up because you had your glasses on when they were doing it, and they had to stop the filming because you had your glasses on. And back in that day, when the film was supposedly done, they didn't have glasses like yours.
The glasses that I had when I was sword fencing was orange tinted glasses. And as soon as I started the sword fencing, I went, cut! Get the effing glasses off. And it was something like £600 a second for these filming things, you know, big deal. Get the effing, don't put them back on. Well, you know, I only had them on because I was wanting to see them fighting, you know. And after I took my glasses off, I thought, well, I'm not going to see nothing new, you know. But it was good. It was good fun. That was great. And obviously on these sets, you get your dinners and everything. You're treated very well, actually. But it was great.
Cooper said, how did the TV work come along?
Well, it was mainly, I started off a lot doing extra work, and the extra work was dead easy. See, at that time I was a member of Equity.
And did you have to do that to be an entertainer and stuff? You had to have that membership.
You had to have yes, yeah.
Right.
But what they do, it kind of guaranteed you that you would get 2 or 3 television appearances in a year. And I let it go. I think I did it maybe for about 2 or 3 years. And I was doing a lot of different stuff all over the country. But the problem being, I was working at night up here, maybe Liverpool, maybe Aberdeen. But I had to be in Glasgow in the morning for 8 o'clock for the filming. I was hardly in my bed at night that I had to drive to Glasgow, leave Glasgow maybe about 3 or 4 in the afternoon and try and get back up to play a gig at night. And I thought, no, this is getting too much. This is going to do me in. So I really had to stop doing that.
But it was a non-stop working career. There was no break.
No. The appearances entertaining on the telly, well, that was different. STV required us to go for auditions. And I went down to do an audition for STV. I did one with remember Hughie Green? Do you remember Hughie Green?
I remember. Other people will probably remember as well. Cooper will.
I went down to do his show, and I didn't get through. So the following
Opportunity knocks.
Opportunity knock. So the following week they were doing auditions for Thingamajig. And I went into the studio and I thought, I'm not going to get through this, so I'll just get in day by day. So I tell you, I go and sit up in the stool. There was about 6 or 7 people sitting. And I recognised all their faces for the telly, you know, and I thought, oh, God. And the guy said, okay, you've got 3 minutes, sing. And I started singing a song, strumming the guitar. I finished and one of the guys said, sing another song. And I sang another song. And 20 minutes later, I'm still singing. And I got up at the end of it. And he says, okay, we'll be in touch. And I thought, I'll never hear a thing. So I drove back up to Inverness. I got in the house and your mum said, Scottish Television's been on the phone. You're on Thingamajig on Thursday night. This was a Monday, you know. You're on Thingamajig on Thursday night. I thought, bloody hell, I've got through. So that was the first telly appearance. That was brilliant. It was just fantastic to actually go into a live show, you know.
Yeah.
And that kind of started that. And then I got other wee things for then on. Just different wee parts here and there. But as I say, a lot of it was mainly extra work. Although now and again they gave you a couple of words to say and that was it, you know. But it was good. It's good. It didn't pay well, but I did it so as people could see, oh God, he's on the telly as well. You know, so that was the idea. That was the idea of it. And that was good. That was good. So that was the kind of fun.
What about the radio thing? How did that come about, and when did that come about?
That was I started doing hospital radio. I did that for a while. And then Moray Radio in Inverness was opening. And they were looking for a country presenter to present country music. And they said, we need a suggestion for a name. And I said, just call it Country Roundup. Could you do a Sunday? You know, and I'd never done that. Well, I had done it with the hospital radio, but no in a kind of main station. So I went in every Sunday and did a half-hour country show. And I always had a guest on for a couple of minutes. I always invited somebody on that maybe in the area playing. And funnily enough, one of the first people up in the area was Sydney. So I phoned Dougie in at the studio and I said, ask Sydney if he'll come into the studio so I can interview him. And Sydney drove up, came into the studio, and the boss at the studio was looking at me and he's going, how did you manage to get him? I said, because I know him. And he came up to do me a favour. So I interviewed Sydney. That was the first one. And then obviously there was one or two local people. I tried to get a lot of the local entertainers on it, the Marlettes, people like that, Bob Maggie. Anybody that was kind of local and playing in the area was just trying to give them a wee bit on the radio, you know, so their name was getting out. And that was good as well. Try to help everybody along.
Again, a lot of these people have become lifelong friends, really.
Yeah, I mean, some of them have to. Well, I seen Bobby Marlettes just a couple of weeks ago, and it was absolutely brilliant seeing Bobby. I hadn't seen him for a while.
And sadly, just not long ago, he lost his wife as well.
Maggie passed away. Yeah. That was very sad as well. So Bobby's on his own now, but it was nice seeing Bobby again. There's a few of the guys that I don't really see very often, you know. There's Billy Riddle from Julian with Part 2, Skin and Bone. I don't see Billy very often, but now and again, when I decide to phone him or he decides to phone me, then we have a good chat on the phone. You know, he's never changed a bit. But again, I don't think Billy's not working now either. He's a bit under the weather too with his health. And I think his wife as well is they keeping too well at the moment as well. So you know, different. We're all at that age group now. Simple as that. So
well, you know, down here, as I said already, Jack died on the 2nd of November 2013. Tom the 9th of January 2020. Sydney went on the 13th of February 2021. Within a short period of time, a lot of these people that you had known to be friends or whatever. Sydney, in the fact that I don't think you spoke, from what I know, you don't speak to Sydney all the time. We used to go and visit him sometimes at his house and stuff like that, but he was the first person that you got a Christmas card from every year. It was the first one always came in the day.
Every year for the last 40 years.
Yep.
It's just amazing. I mean,
so what about just to jump back a little second, the army situation in the army.
Yeah.
What places did you go to in the army?
First place we went to was Germany. Obviously, a bit of conflict in Northern Ireland where we had to go to Northern Ireland. I did a lot of tours there. Then we got posted to Gibraltar for a year. That's where the guitar started. And we were, the camp was right next to the rock itself, right next to the rock. See, he got up in the morning and looked right up the top of the rock as Gibraltar. It was fantastic. We used to do a road run every morning at 6 o'clock from the bottom of the rock to the top and back down again every morning. Now, you can imagine how we felt after we'd been out in the pub the night before, but it was just totally amazing. We came back and we got posted to Hong Kong for 3 years and went to Hong Kong, stayed in Hong Kong for 3 years. That was a fantastic posting. Yeah, Hong Kong, Gibraltar. We went to Malaya a couple of times. 6 weeks training in the Malaysian jungle. Yeah, and all over the world really with the army. It was just amazing. I would never have seen these countries if I hadn't been in the army.
Any stories from the army that are interesting? I remember one in particular. You told me many times when I was young about climbing up the waterfall with the spiders.
Oh, we went away. I'll tell you another one as well. We went away to some waterfall in Hong Kong. I mean, the weather over there was just fantastic. And when it rained hot water. It was never cold. And we went away up to this waterfall, and they were all crossing as the water was going down. There was a wee kind of a pathway just between the water and the side of the rock. So all the guys are walking across it like. Well, I got into the middle of this thing, and I froze. I was terrified looking down the waterfall. And when I looked down at my feet, there was a hole full of spiders, and they must have been the size of my hand. Honestly, I was terrified. And I'm putting my hands up and I'm going, help, help. And the guy said to come out and grab my hands and pull me up the side of the rock. I never ever forgot that. Gibraltar, we did a 10-day walking thing in Tangiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we went over on the boat, we went to Tangiers, got off the boat. Now we're walking for 10 days. And I think after about the third day, we're heading up this mountain. We couldn't see a thing for the fog and the rain. It was horrendous. We were lost. We got completely lost. And right out the blue, there's this old guy walking down the hill with a stick and a big beard and that. What state he was in. And he's trying to talk to us. The officer that was with us is trying to talk to him in broken English, like.
Mm-hmm.
And you come. So we all followed this guy. And he took us into a cave that he stayed in. The old guys lived in a cave. And he took us all into the cave, and we stayed in the cave for a night. And when we got up the following morning, the mist had gone. It was a beautiful sunny day, and we went away. But just wee stories. And when we left, we walked to a place called Shawan, right? And on the last day, we could get the bus back instead of walking all the distance, because we'd walked a lot of miles. The only thing with this bus was it left at 3:00 in the afternoon. They had sheep, pigs, hens. The bus was jam-packed on the roof and everything. We could only go in and sit in the corridor in the middle because there was no seats or nothing. And it was like that programme they have on the television, the worst roads in the world to travel. Round the side of mountains, and you're looking at the bus and you think, if this bus slides, we're dead, And we were praying that the bus would reach the destination. It was that bad. But we got there. So it's just a wee story. Oh, and obviously, again, that was moving for Gibraltar. We used to get the American troops coming from Vietnam on rest and recreation for maybe 4 or 5 days. We used to go out with them at night. They would tell us all the stories about the troubles they were having. So we're sitting in comfort on the beaches and everything. They're fighting in bloody Vietnam, tell you. But there you go.
So you talk about being in the army and being in Ireland, but then you went over several times to record and do gigs in Ireland. Was there any issues, or did it ever come up about you being ex-forces and being in Ireland?
That was always a wee thing I always had in my mind when we went over there. But nobody would have recognised you anyway, because we were in army uniform and helmets on, and so But we stayed with a couple, Edith and Wilson, right? We stayed with them. You stayed with them one night as well, remember? When you were over.
Twice I was there.
Twice with them.
Right.
Well, they always looked after us, and whenever I went to gigs over there, Wilson used to come with me. And there was the odd occasion where people would ask, what religion? And Wilson used to go over and put a stop to it and just say, Carol's here to entertain. You don't need to know what religion. He's entertaining. And that just shut them up. There was never a problem. We never had a problem.
And again, when people have asked me about going to Ireland, I had the time of my life there. We used to go into the recording studio just to so people know. And the guy Sel that was in charge at the time, they had all of it, like a big warehouse full of all the video tapes,
distribution centre,
and all that. Yeah. And he used to say to me, "Just help yourself." And at the time, I was into wrestling and all that and everything, and I used to go along the shelf and just fill black bags, cases. Dad had a long-time mate and roadie called Duncan, who sadly we just found out passed away not long ago. Well, last year, but we just found out. And he used to come out with bags and bags of stuff. I mean, we used to fill that car with stuff, and the guy didn't even bat an eyelid. The Sel was such a good guy. And I think he produced your stuff in Outlet, didn't he?
Yeah, he was the record producer. But he also did, there's an Irish entertainer who was real big time. Used to sing the blues and all that type of thing. I can't remember his name. But I mean, all these people recorded there. You know, there's a lot of them recorded there. Dominic Kerwin. And the backing group that I used in the studio was Daniel O'Donnell's backing singers. You know, so it was all kind of mix up, you know.
There was also, did you not get backed at one point by Runrig?
That was in Stornoway before Runrig, before they even got a name for themselves. And it was with Jolene with Part 2 and myself. We went to do a show in the town hall in Stornoway. We were doing the cabaret. So Jolene Part 2, they went on first. I was going on, and the band said, "We'll back you," because I was just myself. And the band said, "We'll back you." Now, little did I know that band was Runrig. And at the end of the night, when we finished, we just packed up and we were leaving. And they were playing for the dancing in the town hall at the end of the night. They were just a dance band. And then I think it was maybe about a year later, they became big time.
They're now multi-million artists.
Yeah.
But it sounds like good times.
It was early. That was early days, you know. That was early days. And I was always the guy was saying, I always panicked because I was on my own. And that was the idea when I started cracking jokes in between songs, you know. And then I remember one night we were in Dumfries, again with Julie with Part 2. And I'm up at the bar and I can hear the guys at the bar going, "Hey, you want to hear the comedian? He's brilliant." Me. And I thought, I'm here to sing. I was flapping the first time I cracked a joke. Well, I went up and I didn't get in very well that night just singing, let me tell you. But because I thought it was a comedian as well, and I wasn't, you know. There you go. But just shows you.
So, obviously, a recorded record career. Did you ever go down the lines? Some of these questions I don't even know the answer to myself, and I probably should, but and I think I know. But did you ever think about the writing side of music?
I did write a couple of them. I wrote maybe about 3 tracks, and they were used on the albums. One of the kind of main one was at Nashville Hall of Fame. That's one that I wrote, and I didn't know that. I did that with Sydney. And the best thing about that was working with Sydney in the studio. I would sing half of the song and Sydney would go up and sing half.
Mm.
And Bill Garden used to say, I think maybe we should just leave that as it is. Was him singing the first bit and Sydney singing the second bit.
Mm-hmm.
That was the idea with that guy writing in the newspaper. The only difference was Tug sings in tune.
Mm.
So they didn't use Sydney on it. They just kept me on it, you know. But I think
At that time, there was a bit of a similarity in the voice,
that's right.
and some people might not have been able to tell the difference in certain songs or whatever. Like
That's
that.
right. That's right.
But again, Sydney is a great guy. We've seen him several times. We've bumped into him at the golf at Troon. We went to the Open.
There's
that was another.
There's a lot of people obviously didn't like him singing. Like a lot of people didn't like Daniel O'Donnell singing, right?
Mm.
The thing about it is they both picked the right songs to sing.
Yep.
And that's what the older people wanted to hear. And that's how they made it. Simple as that.
Mm.
But for a stage performance, Sydney was brilliant live on stage. So yeah, he was excellent. You were on about. I carry on. Sorry,
No, go on.
I was just going to say there was a wee bit army wise. 1968, we got asked to do the Queen's Guard at Balmoral.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted people to go and do the grooming of some of the horses.
Mm-hmm.
So I get picked to work with the horses at Braemar.
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't realise was my job really when I got to Braemar was taking some of them out stocking the deer.
Yeah.
So the first time I went to it, I'm grooming the horses for a couple of days, and then somebody said, you know, either somebody come and do your group with somebody of the day. Land Rover appears, who gets out? Charles.
King Charles.
So I ended up walking with Prince Charles, or King Charles, myself and the gilly the whole day. We sat down for lunch and Charles offered us a sandwich out his box. And I thought, no, thank you, sir. And I was trying to be polite, you know. But then fortnight later, I got invited to the Gillies Ball in Balmoral Castle.
Mm-hmm.
For they have a Gillies Ball when the Queen was on holiday. Every fortnight during that holiday time, they had a big ball in the castle. And I got invited to that. And we were all in number one dress, kilts, blue jackets. It was really smart.
Mm-hmm.
We had to learn to dance. So, like plonkers, we're all out in the camp in the middle of the square doing Highland dancing, and all the folk passing at the front gates all looking and going, oh, look at them soldiers all doing paddy bars and that, you know. Mm. But the idea of that was when we went to the Gillies Ball, I was ordered to ask the Queen Mother up to dance. Right. So I had the great pleasure of dancing with the Queen Mother at the Gillies Ball. Mm-hmm. And she said, have you been in the army long? And all that, you know, yes, ma'am, and, you know, but fantastic. I'll never forget that. Never forget that.
She was a lovely, lovely lady. There's a lot of controversy around the royal family and stuff, but the Queen Mother, I think, is one of the. I mean, the Queen was great, but I think the Queen Mother was one of the ones that everyone loved. The Queen Mother.
The Queen used to drive round the estate in a Land Rover, and she'd go out the Land Rover with a headscarf on and the wellies and that. Mm. You know, I'm standing, that's the Queen, you know. Mm. Realising when she got out the car, it's her as driving, you know. So bloody hell. But it was really good. It was good. A lot of things happen throughout your life, you know. It's just amazing.
So, I'll say, you know, I know, and nobody else will know, but you have been, since certain things have happened, and we'll go on briefly into that in a minute, but you've been writing a book
Aye, yeah.
about some of the stuff we've been talking about tonight, and some of the stuff I've probably got no idea you've been talking about. Because I'm not even allowed to see it anymore. I did see the first few pages, and that was it.
Oh, you'll never see it until it's finished. I've got 180 pages done now.
Hang on. I've got a guy here, James, one of the vaping guys. I could sit here for hours. What a brilliant and interesting life you've had, sir. Can you pick just one moment that's been your favourite?
And as an entertainer.
In your life? Well, apart from me, like, you know.
Well, I was got, obviously you being born, yeah. I went over to Florida twice. I was asked to go to Florida and entertain in Florida.
I was just going to ask you about that.
It's one of the biggest crowds that I had ever, 50,000 people. And that was amazing. I flew over on the Thursday to do a show on the Saturday, a one-day show. And during the time that I was over there, I got driven about with two cops in a golf cart.
Police escort.
Police escort, all the time I was there.
Was that
I was
to make
looked
sure
at
you didn't sell any CDs?
aye. But, and some of the entertainers were coming from Canada or California. But the top of the bill was Carol Wilson, just flown in from the UK to entertain. You know, I thought, oh, bloody hell. So what we did was we drove round, we did 3 different marquees throughout the day. But I had to sing in the football field to the 50,000 audience without music. I had just to go out and sing Flower of Scotland because it was all Scottish expats. That was, I suppose, the biggest thing in the entertainment thing. I never forgot that.
All them years singing in front of, I mean, I was at a lot of the gigs and stuff.
Aye.
And back in the day, all of the holiday makers used to travel to the hotels and stuff like that, and whatever was the main ones I went. I went to some of the shows and that as well, but the gigs, some of them were absolutely jam-packed. And at the time, these people were on the floor dancing, and these are, I mean, you're talking old people, were on the floor from the start of the night to the end of the night, and had brilliant, like every night was brilliant. And it changed over the years because a lot of these people became younger people coming on holiday, and they didn't maybe like that kind of music and stuff like that. And a lot of them still did, but it changed. But what I was going to ask was, when you done that for so many years, and then you sang in front of 50,000 people, what was that feeling on that day? What was that like compared to what you'd done your whole life?
Well, I mean, I had been singing in loads of clubs and in halls and village halls, you name it. But get over there with an audience like that, I mean, honestly, I was terrified. I was really terrified. But I thought, oh, look, I know I can do this. And I mean, I had to do it. So I thought, just go on and do it. They handed me a radio mic, I had to go into the middle of the field. And I mean, there was just thousands there. And I sang Flower of Scotland. But the applause was just astounding, just amazing. I must honestly say, I also played in a few places mentally handicapped kids. One was over at White Bridge in Banff.
I'll never forget it. I was there.
It was a massive stage, and when the curtain opened, it was just mobbed with Down syndrome kids, mentally handicapped kids, and we go in and we put on a show for them. When we finished, you couldn't get away. Everybody wanted an autograph, and they would come up. Some of them wouldn't even have a bit of paper or anything or a pen. They would just say, "Could you sign that?" And they would put their hand up, and you would just thing with your
Aye.
finger, and we go, oh, fantastic.
Mm.
You know, we were there. We spent more time at the end of the night signing autographs.
Mhm.
But again, that was always me and Stuart.
Aye.
We spent more time at the end of the night signing autographs to make sure they all got involved, you know. And when you played for them, all the kids, they were all dancing in the aisles and everything.
Mhm.
That was an amazing crowd as well to play for.
I think
never
I
forgot
only
that.
went. I think I went to one of them once, maybe twice.
Aye.
And I'll never forget. I was young, obviously, at the time, and one of the people fancied me there. I remember. I'll never forget that.
Aye.
But and they came over and told me, and it was somebody with Down syndrome and that, and really nice people, really nice people.
Yeah.
And had a great time. They just wanted fun, and that's what they had, and it was great. Like Kelly's just put a message in saying, "Am I in the book?"
I'm not telling you. It's a secret. You'll just have to wait till I'm gone.
So, I guess I've said about all the dates of losing everyone, and the biggest of all was the 16th of August 2021. We lost Mum, and that was very sudden. We kind of anticipated that it might happen for various reasons, but we lost her on the 16th of August. We buried her on the 26th of August, which was a really hard time. And on my way back from there, you became seriously ill and I got a phone call. Now, you'd already retired at this point.
Yeah.
Not that long before, really, because you'd done so many years. And
just before the COVID.
Aye. And that kind of was probably the final decision on retiring and stuff. I remember having the conversations with you saying, Dad, you've been on the road so long, it's time to take a break and enjoy yourself and stuff like that. And by absolute misfortune, probably, Mum passed away and you didn't get lots of time to do the things that you might wanted to do or whatever. And then you got ill yourself. And people know from me online telling story before and stuff that by all accounts, you shouldn't have been here today. It was the most serious time you could ever imagine. In my position, I've just lost my mum, and the doctor's telling me my dad's not going to be alive this time tomorrow, then the next day, and whatever. And from then until now, in my opinion, you've made nearly a life-changing change to your health, to whatever, to when you come out of the hospital till now. But you've had to do that pretty much with some friends and with myself a bit and whatever. You've had to do that on your own. How does that feel now when you've probably got used to it, but going from always having Mum there for 44 years or whatever, and then Mum going, you getting ill very quick, and then going through that time. How hard was that?
Well, it's very hard. As you say, I never expected to get ill. I've always been a fit guy all my life. I've never really had an illness as such.
Yep.
I was very fortunate with the situation there because I was supposed to be at a meeting on, I think it was a Monday afternoon. And I got a phone call saying, could we have the meeting tonight? Because I can't get off my work.
Mm-hmm.
So we changed the meeting from the afternoon to the evening.
Yep.
And that evening, I was only there 5 minutes at the meeting and I collapsed.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter. That was in the Masonic Lodge.
Mhm.
If I hadn't been in the lodge that night, I wouldn't be here.
Mhm.
Because I only had 30 minutes to get to the hospital.
Yep.
That's what I was told by the surgeons.
Yep.
And as you know, I think I was in a coma for 4 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Then a week or two in the hospital after that. Then they decided to let me home. And again, friends, Alec and Kate.
Yep.
I think if it hadn't been for Alec and Kate being there to help me, I would have had major problems. And there are genuine couple that I can never repay for what they've done to help me. And they're still helping me to this day.
Yep.
Brilliant friends. I never met people like that in my life. They have been so good. But no, my life has changed completely now. Obviously, I don't play. I'm getting quite handy at the gardening.
Quite handy in the morning.
I'm on a lot. I've kind of gave up on the music side. I don't have much interest in it, to be honest, because I haven't really done it for before COVID. And now that I've retired from it, I don't feel that I need to learn anything because I'm not going out to play anymore. You know, although, you know yourself, I've got the studio in the garden. I'll try and get that going again.
And maybe get some people in to do some recordings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I will do. I'll get some people in to do some recordings.
We are semi in the process of doing another song together. Dad's done a really nice song. I'll not tell you anything about it, but
no.
a really nice song.
And of course, the voices went as well for the hospital. I don't have the same voice anymore. That's what puts me off as well.
Maybe that's just you, though. Maybe you feel that. I don't know. When I heard what you've recorded, it sounded as good as I ever did. But
when I listen to it myself, when I listen to it myself, I think, God, is that really me? And if I mention singing at the Masonic Lodge, the first thing they say is, "Oh, don't."
Every time.
You're
not singing tonight, are you?
I love it. I love it. But no, life has changed an awful lot. But in the last 2.5 years, I've kind of get used to it. And I've been in contact again with a couple of friends in Ireland as well, and it's made me feel a lot happier, to be honest. And I still get phone calls for the record company for Martin. I still got odd calls for him saying, "Are you doing anything yet?" You know, so they're still interested, but no, not doing anymore. I'm finished. So, and of course, all the people that I knew are all gone, which is a shame.
Yeah.
So,
and within such a short space of time, it was it was hard to kind of fathom because it was everything was. We were getting over one, and then there was another one, and another one, and another one, and it was funeral after funeral, and for a while it was crazy. And close friends as well that weren't music side of things, and you know,
That's
Michael
right.
and Tommy and stuff like that. Friends.
That's right.
So many different people and some family members and stuff as well died within.
Tom and Jack ended up like we weren't just pals. It was like we were three brothers. It was like we were a family.
Yeah.
And we were always, if I wasn't away with Jack and Lil, I would be away a weekend with Tom and Betty.
And you used to go to the Norfolk Broads a lot with them.
We'd go down to the Norfolk Broads for a week's holiday. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. They were just. I'll never forget the guys. You know, but to see them as a kid entertaining in a theatre, and then starting the entertainment eventually, never thinking I'd ever meet up with people like that and be their pals. That's the amazing thing. And I
Kelly
appreciated what she
Kelly
said.
says your life changed for the better as me and the kids are in it now.
Well, I must honestly say that's true. Yeah. 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 I won't use bad language, Kelly. Okay.
This is the longest, guys, genuinely, that I haven't heard a swear word come out of his mouth since I was born.
Hey, I haven't heard one for Kelly either.
She has in the comments a couple of times, like, but
no.
But yeah, so quite a story, and there's a lot more stories. There's a lot more stories to tell, and I'm sure a lot of them will probably be in the book and stuff like that. And as you remember stuff, you're adding to it and whatever. And you know, God willing, it's a long time till your time comes. But if the book isn't out by then, it will be, because I will make sure of that. I know that when you got ill, me and Kelly dropped everything and came down. We done what we could. I was down as regular as possible to the hospital, stuff like that. Alec and Kate were fantastic, and I just echo what you said. They were absolutely incredible. And the reason I'm talking about that is because one of the main things we talk about in here for the people in the comments and stuff is that we like to promote mental health and illness and stuff like that, whatever, so people know there is, everyone in every walk of life has got something that maybe hearing somebody's story might help them a little bit. And you know, your story is quite a. You could make a movie out of that story. Like, there's a lot, and there's a lot that people don't know. There's a million stories that we could tell about different things that's happened over the years, and when all the bands stayed and all stuff like that. My perspective in my life was growing up with a house full continuous, and Mum had fold-up beds in every room. In the front room, there was people on the sofas, on the floor, everywhere that she was cooking. It didn't matter how many people appeared at the house. She would cook meals for every single one of them, and not just one, but many different meals, so they could pick and choose what they wanted. An incredible life, and being brought up, and me getting to meet the people I did, I guess brought me. I was in the studio at 3. Recording my Christmas song, which had its own advert on the TV and stuff, and my music went from there. I've not done so much of that now either, but if you want to find any of Dad's music, you can find it
in the charity show. The charity show.
You can find it for £1 in the pound shop. It is all over iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. If you just look for Carl Wilson, you'll find all of the stuff on there. And there's a lot of stuff to choose from. Just don't waste too much money on it, but if you can get it bootleg, it's worth a listen. I know my little one, as everyone knows, my little girl's battling leukemia, and she sings "You Can't Shove Your Granny Off a Bus" regular while playing his music, and she speaks to. I'm not going to say his word because it'll come on, but Alexea. She'll ask it to play it, and it plays the song, and she dances it. She loves it. So I guess a lot of these songs will never get old. They're a lot of people don't appreciate the Scottish music scene, and that's probably why you went into the country stuff and all that, and you preferred that and everything. There's only a certain niche of people, I think, that loved the Scottish music, and a lot of it will probably now would be from other countries and stuff like that, would still like that. But it's a different world now, isn't it? The whole entertainment industry is a different place.
It's changed. It's changed a lot over the years. Because I mean, Tom and Jack, they used to say when it was getting near Christmas, they used to say, "Oh no, it'll be something stupid that's on at Hogmanay." They were no longer asking. I mean, there is people in Scotland that could probably still do these Hogmanay shows, but they're not getting the chance. They don't get the opportunity.
Just to jump in, when he's mentioning Hogmanay, for the English people, is New Year's. When I mention that word to some people in England, they're like, "What the fuck is that? What does that mean?"
Yeah,
Hogmanay is New Year, and it always was the Alexander Brothers and stuff that were on at New Year.
Andy Stewart, Ricky Fulton. It used to be great at New Year. It was excellent. But it's all changed. And it's no change for the better. It really hasn't. I think most people maybe stick an old LP on there, so an old CD or something on for Hogmanay. It's a shame.
If you could go back and change anything about your career at all, would you change it?
I would like to have seen my parents, not pass away so early in life. That's why I've said to you, you're a very lucky guy. You can go to the pub with your dad. I never get that opportunity. So that's the only thing I would probably change, that they would stay alive for a long time, and maybe even see what kind of career I get into.
Yeah,
that would have been nice, So
and that would been nice. I was gonna say something, but it's maybe a conversation for maybe another night. About, do you believe that people see this out, whatever, and we could probably have a good conversation about UFOs and stuff like that. But that might be another night, another conversation for a night. It could be quite because there's stories to tell. But I guess that kind of rounds everything up on the history and stuff that we can remember at the moment anyway. But I always finish the interviews with a couple of things. I'm just going to quickly check them comments. Kelly said, "I'm the better wife though, you can't." So there's a swear right in there.
Oh no.
When I said about the music, she says, "I don't, it makes my head hurt." So she's on one thing, which is what you expect. But what I was going to say is, when your time comes and you're no longer around, which, as I said, I hope is a long time away.
So yeah.
What would be your legacy that you leave behind, and what would you like to be remembered for?
Just put on the stone, "You knew I was ill." That'll do fine. I don't know. I never think about these things. Just put on what you feel. Let Kelly put something on, it'll be comical.
Oh, gee. I can imagine. I think there'd probably be a picture of a squirrel there somewhere. But see, you answer everything different. Like I like how you answer stuff, because a lot of people would say, "I'd like to be remembered for doing this or doing that, or for my music, or for this or that, whatever." I think you've done that many things that there isn't.
What I would say is, as far as the entertainment thing was, right? A lot of people get into the entertainment thing, they're quite brass-necked, and I can do that, and I can do this, and I can, I never ever did that. I was never brass necked enough. I never, all the time that I knew the likes of even Tom and Jack and all these other people, I never ever once said to them, any kind of good bookings going that I could be part of. They were just pals. They were pals. And I think that's how they looked on me as no requesting help like that, because they knew I was doing it myself. And I think that always, Sydney told me when I was in the studio doing that first album, he said, as an entertainer, don't try ever to sing or emulate other artists because it'll never work. You've got to just do your own thing. The way you sound, that's how you sing. Simple as that. Don't try and copy anybody. And that's the thing that I never did. I never tried to copy people. I just did what I did. And it was good. And I loved it. I sit back now and I think of all these people that's still working and they're going out in the rainy nights and the snow and I'm sitting at the fire watching the telly with my feet up. So there you go.
And that, boys and girls, is the story of Carl, Ian, Tug, or any name you want to call him, Wilson.
Any you want to call me.
Cooper says, incredible story. There's other I'll read them after on the message because they'll stay on. If you're watching this on repeat, feel free to put comments in. I can answer any questions or comments if you're watching it back. It will be on YouTube. It'll always be there, so you can check out whenever. And maybe someday soon we'll get him back in for another chat about other stuff. So that's pretty much it, really. I'd just like to say a massive thanks for coming in and telling your story.
No problem.
It means a lot. Not even just as my dad, but it seems to be a fair account of your life.
Right, yeah.
And,
anyway, yeah.
And we hopefully will see you on here again soon.
I'm not in any rush. I'm not in any rush. I might be watching Emmerdale or something, Just come on.
Cooper
but listen, but anyway, Cooper, it's nice to speak to you again, mate. I can't hear you, but it's nice to speak to you again. I would just like to say thanks very much, son, for bringing us on. I appreciate that. Now they'll be bloody talking to me, other people that bumps into us that's watched it. So
James has said, what a fantastic watch, really enjoyed.
Good, that's good. I hope your dad and your mum's keeping well.
It's not him, it's a different one.
Oh, is that a different James?
Yeah, that's a vaping guy, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was James.
No, it's a different one.
Right. Anyway, thank you very much for having us on. And anybody that was listening, thanks very much.
Kept them entertained, that's for sure.
Yeah. And they're probably thinking, it's 12:30.
I know. But we had a few difficulties at the start. Usually it'd be done by now, but we will come back on again at some point, and we'll.
My wee pal's lying there sleeping. Look, she's lying there sleeping. So anyway, thank you very much for having us on.
My dad was a singer years ago, like yourself.
All right.
Interesting.
No, but listen, there's hundreds of guys out there that's still doing the circuits and that. I loved it. I had a good time doing it. Just keep doing what you do. Simple as that.
Well, on that note, I am going to pull you out for a second. I'll put you backstage, and then I'll finish this, and I'll just chat to you quickly so stay on here.
Yeah, be upstanding.
All right.
On you go.
Thanks very much again.
Okay. All right.
So there you go, guys. That is Carl Wilson Tug Wilson, Ian Carlton Wilson, the man, the legend, the story. I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, up in the top corner here, we have the QR code. If you want to help with Harper's Fund, feel free to donate to that, or any companies, vaping companies, or otherwise want to donate anything for our big charity night, feel free to do that up there. But that is us for tonight. Unfortunately, Cooper couldn't get on tonight because we had technical difficulties with the sound. We will rectify that by Saturday for Wilson Cooper's Saturday night takeout. So make sure you're watching that. That'll be on Saturday, and we've got some awesome prizes. We have got some other people booked in and lined up for the late night sessions, or the night sessions. I can tell you that we have some very, very well-known people from TV, from X Factor, from Britain's Got Talent that will be coming on. We've also confirmed today, I had a long chat with James Jordan from Aramaxi, the incredible juice and salts from Aramaxi. If you haven't tried these, try these. Genuinely the best salts and juice currently on the market, and that's 100% guaranteed. That's from somebody that makes them. He's coming on for an interview. That was confirmed today, and that will probably be, I think we said, the 15th of May. So make sure that you're watching that. Next week, we're not sure yet if we will be having a night session or not. It just depends on circumstances, but I'll let you know. You'll keep an eye out for the notifications, and you'll find out what's happening. If you have seen this and you enjoyed it, thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give it a share onto your Facebooks or whatever. It was live on Facebook tonight. It won't normally be, and it will come off Facebook because it does, because of the music and stuff. But it will stay on YouTube. So feel free to share it on Facebook or to your friends or whatever. And like I said, any comments, anything like that, stick them in the comments and we'll get round to them. We'd like to see as much interaction on the YouTube as possible. And the subscribers going up. I think it's about 400 at the moment, subscribers. We'd like to see that going as high as possible. Some of the guests that we've got coming in have got a lot of following. And their stories are very inspiring as well. And I'm looking forward to doing some of these shows with them. And hopefully we've got Cooper back and everything's working for that as well. But from now until then, we will see you on Saturday, and then we will see you on Tuesday for Cooper versus Wilson, which he's beating me 2-1 at the moment, and then Harper's Fund auction. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. Keep an eye out. Stay safe, everyone, and be good, and take care. And I will see you all very, very soon. Thanks for watching. I have been Wilson tonight, as always, and I usually say good night from him, but he's not here. But it's a good night from me. Take care. We'll see you soon.